Chapter 5. Education. A good education gives your child a good start in life. Primary. The primary cause of his failure was his underestimation of the enemy. Secondary. The most important factor is price. Location is a secondary issue. University. She is a student at Peking University. College. Their son will start college in the autumn. Institute. The government set up an institute devoted to renewable energy sources. Academy. This is an academy of music. Learn. It is more useful to learn modern languages such as English and French than Latin. Study. This reference book is very useful to study from. Acquire. We hope to acquire the knowledge within happiness. Knowledge. To the young boy, his big brother was the fountain of all knowledge. Expertise. We were amazed at his expertise on herbs. Novice. I am a complete novice at yoga. Recruit. The country's first act would be to recruit for the Navy. Literate. Over 1/4 of the adult population are not fully literate. Illiteracy. We must do our best to eliminate illiteracy. Numerate. All students should be numerate and literate when they leave school. Problem. Heavy traffic poses a problem in many big cities. Issue. On this issue, they thought as one. Affair. The minister is busy with important state affairs. Controversial. They tried to stay away from controversial topics at the dinner party. Puzzle. He is puzzled about the matter. Riddle. He figured out the riddle at last. Obscure. Rules for the game are somewhat obscure. Instill. A sense of duty must be instilled in our children. Cram. Lectures were all called off so students could cram for the semester finals. Emphasize. I tried to emphasize my strengths without sounding boastful. Enhance. A good score of IELTS will enhance my chance of getting the offer. Enable. This dictionary will enable you to understand English words. Inspire. Our task is to motivate the voters and inspire them to join our cause. Motive. His motive for working so hard is that he needs money. Motivate. Good teachers are those who can motivate their students. Stimulate. I'm trying to stimulate him to study harder. Spur. Pride spurred the man to fight. Impetus. The car ran down the bridge under its own impetus. Indulge. You can indulge yourself without spending a fortune. Spoil. You should be careful because you make a mistake which will spoil your life. Abuse. It's easy to abuse one's power. Intelligent. Clara is a highly intelligent girl. Clever. Even clever people may do something stupid when put on the spot. Smart. This boy is very smart. He may become another Stephen Hawking. All round. She is an all-round artist. Genius. His genius is not confined to maths and physics. Elite. The army was controlled by a small ruling elite. Idiot. He is behaving like a perfect idiot. Wisdom. Confucius's words hold a great deal of wisdom. Wit. Holmes was a gregarious, a great wit, a man of wide interests. Aptitude. That student has an aptitude for music. Capable. Not everyone is capable of judging fine arts. Excellent. She had a high reputation for her excellent detective novels. Outstanding. He is an outstanding athlete and deserved to win. Brilliant. She drew the curtains and brilliant sunlight flooded into the room. Prestige. These new policies will affect the president's national and international prestige. Reputation. If a company has a good reputation, investors will naturally back it. Eminent. The students are expecting the arrival of an eminent scientist. Notorious. The notorious thief was finally caught and put to prison. Esteem. I esteem it as a privilege to attend this conference and give a report here. Respect. You should know how to respect yourself before you can get respect from others. Diligent. She is diligent and busy with all kinds of experiments all the time. Painstaking. The mastery of a language requires painstaking effort. Skill. It requires an athlete to have great skill, cool nerves, and quick reflexes. Approach. I like his approach to the problem. Scheme. All the schemes and intrigues are doomed to failure. Headmaster. His track record as a headmaster was excellent. Principal. He is going to resign from the position of principal. Dean. She is the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences. Faculty. Faculty members devote most of their time to scholarly research. Professor. Our professor is a learned man with great insight. Scholar. He is a serious scholar who is highly respected by his students. Scientist. I admired him as a true scientist and a very moral man. Mentor. He fed on the great ideas of his mentor. Tutor. She was my personal tutor at university. Lecturer. I have to submit this report to my lecturer. Assistant. Her assistant was accused of theft and fraud by the police. Candidate. They are interviewing candidates for the position of sales manager. Degree. He left without completing his degree. Qualify. His knowledge and skills qualify him for the job. Certify. I certify on my honor that she is innocent. License. His driving license was suspended for 3 months. Permit. You can't work here without a work permit. Diploma. My cousin won her diploma in only 3 years. Diplomat. As a natural diplomat, he found it easy to get the two sides to reach a consensus. Ambassador. He was appointed ambassador to France. Pupil. As a girl, She had been a model pupil. Graduate. Graduate. Preference will be given to graduates in journalism. Ceremony. What the old headmaster said at the graduation ceremony dwells in my mind. Bachelor. To do the job, you must have at least a bachelor's degree in engineering. Master. They are able to master the situation. Doctor. He is a doctor of philosophy. Fresher. Only a few months ago, the freshers started their exciting life at university. Sophomore. My sophomore year at college was perhaps the most remarkable year of my life. Junior. At that time, I was a sophomore and Miss Yang was a junior. Senior. The seniors defeated the juniors by 4-2. Alumni. My alumni and alumna are present at my birthday. Campus. The campus covers an area of about 1.37 square kilometers. Orientation. The university will hold a one-day orientation session for freshmen. Platform. He spoke to us from a platform in the lecture hall. Co-ed. A nationwide research is underway for typical co-eds. Register. You must register for the tax. Roster. I am on the roster for tomorrow night. Enroll. They enrolled that freshman as a member of the club. Matriculation. Matriculation was increasing in many universities in the 1990s. Accommodation. The authorities must provide suitable accommodation for the family. Dorm. Are you going to live in the student's dorm or at home? Dining hall. This is my first time to eat in your dining hall. Canteen. This canteen is much frequented by students. Laboratory. It is important to check when the laboratory can do the tests. Experiment. We will have an experiment in the laboratory this afternoon. Data. The data should be updated once a week. Quantity. Our company is more concerned with quality than with quantity. Quality. It was a bad year for films in terms of quality rather than quantity. Library. I went to the library and returned your books for you. Literature. Literature stands related to man as science stands to nature. Article. The editor asked him to contribute a weekly article on European affairs. Author. The author's style is subtle and elegant. Tale. She looks like a princess in a fairy tale. Fiction. The writer poignantly described her own mothering experiences in her fiction. Story. Her little sister often asks her to retell the story. Diary. Her diary is full of entries about him. Poetry. I myself enjoy cinema, drama, poetry, and traveling. Magazine. This magazine has a large circulation. Journal. This study was published by 2 journals of repute. Coverage. The wedding of the 2 movie stars got massive media coverage. Bibliography. The bibliography is a very important part of a paper. Encyclopedia. I know someone who is a walking encyclopedia. She knows about everything. Biography. One of my friends likes to read biographies of great men to enhance himself. Documentary. The documentary left me in a state of shock. Series. He published a new book series for English learners. Record. The subjects in the research were asked to keep a record of everything they ate for a week. File. The police have a file on him. Profile. Her beautiful profile impressed the judges very much. Draft. When the first draft was completed, she took a break. Sketch. I have figured out a basic sketch of a plan. Brochure. I'll send you the company brochure right away. Manual. The maintenance manual gives diagrams and instructions for repairing your car. Frame. The house has a wooden frame which is braced with brick. Index. The index is arranged in alphabetical order. Catalogue. You can look for the book in the library catalogue. Category. There are different categories of books in a library. Inventory. We made an inventory of everything in the old museum. Content. Content. The calorie content in a regular Coke is very high. Context. We should judge the past in its historic context. List. The results are listed in numerical order. Chapter. Steamboat travel opened a new chapter in America's exploration of the West. Volume. The volume of this container is 1 cubic meter. Reel. I put a new reel of film in my camera. Subject. In the car, she reverted to the subject which is uppermost in her mind. Object. Object. He strongly objects to getting up early. Major. She majored in international economy at university. Minor. My major is English, but I also have a minor in history. Sociology. A few years ago, sociology was the most popular subject for undergraduates. Politics. He closed down the business and went into politics. Economics. Whenever they start talking about economics, I feel totally out of my depth. Marketing. This company puts a high value on marketing. Accounting. A company's accounting records must be open for inspection at all times. Audit. They worked all day without a break and finished the audit on time. Statistics. There is a compulsory course in statistics. Psychology. The professor has considerable expertise in studying a criminal's psychology. Philosophy. She has a master's degree in philosophy. Logic. Socrates laid the foundations of logic. Biology. Biology is the study of living things. Physics. He is one of the top students in physics. Chemistry. I am not good at organic chemistry. Agriculture. In the past, agriculture located a family to a place. Logistics. I have a good command in the procedures of logistics. Geography. I'd like to introduce you to my geography professor. History. China is an oriental country with a long history. Engineering. The percentage of girls in engineering has increased in recent years. Mechanics. He is studying mechanics and now is learning all the parts of an engine. Electronics. That country wants to increase tariffs on items such as electronics. Maths. The teacher will test us in maths. Arithmetic. Arab brought arithmetic and algebra to the fore once again and placed it almost on a par with geometry. Geometry. Geometry is a piece of cake for me, but a big headache for my friend Claire. Algebra. The young boy is good at algebra. Calculus. Calculus is a difficult course for most college students. Plus. Intelligence plus wit makes for an interesting person. Sum. The man has decided to give his son a huge sum of money for his independence from the family. Total. In total, over 100,000 people were killed in the tsunami, and a great many people were homeless. Merger. The proposed merger between two of the largest software companies has been passed. Equation. If you are trying to lose weight in a healthy way, exercise should be part of the equation. Identical. This is the identical hotel we stayed at last year. Minus. The temperature is minus 10 degrees now. Subtract. The little girl has begun to learn to add and subtract. Multiply. Friendships multiply joy and divide grievances. Divide. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Dividend. In 12 divided by 2, 12 is the dividend. Remainder. Divide 4 into 13 and the remainder is 1. Rational. A rational number can be expressed as a ratio of two integers. Parameter. Political dissent is a parameter of modern life. Variable. There are some variables that can change our plan. Even. He won the first round and I won the second, so our scores are even now. Odd. 1, 3, 5, and 7 are odd numbers. Mean. The professor asked the students to take 200 values and calculate the mean. Double. Many things now cost double what they did a couple of years ago. Triple. His income tripled. Quadruple. Our profits have quadrupled in the last decade. Multiple. 18 is a multiple of 6. Maximum. The maximum load for this truck is 10 tons. Minimum. You must get a minimum of 60 questions right to pass the test. Approximately. The yolk contains all the fat and approximately half the protein of the egg. Chart. This chart displays the links connecting these groups. Graph. They made a graph of how cold the weather was every day for a month. Diagram. The teacher draws a diagram showing how the plant seedling bends towards the sunlight. Table. We should create a table for the sales data. Matrix. She cannot find the matrix for the competition. Rectangle. The plate itself is a small rectangle made of gold. Cube. She dropped a cube of sugar into her coffee and stirred it with a spoon. Angle. The temple is especially beautiful to look at from this angle. Triangle. The three places form a triangle. Diagonal. The two diagonals of a square cross in the center. Straight. The old lady closed her book and looked straight at me. Circle. The circle is 10 centimeters in diameter. Round. He went round and round but could find no way to get out of the room. Dot. On the map, convenience stores are marked by a red dot. Sphere. We move in different social spheres. Cone. The police have sectioned off the road with traffic cones. Extent. No one cares about the extent of his depths. Width. In front of the mountain is a river of great width. Length. The room is 7 meters in length and 5 meters in breadth. Decimal. The decimal system is widely used. Percent. I am 100% in agreement. Proportion. This door is very narrow in proportion to its height. Rate. The rate of inflation decreased to 5% last year. Ratio. The ratio of 3 to 9 is the same as that of 9 to 27. Fraction. She spends only a fraction of her earnings on clothes. Scale. A machine for weighing people has a scale from 1 pound to 300 pounds on it. Ounce. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Density. The population density of big cities is increasing year by year. Fahrenheit. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercury. The mercury stood at nearly 40 degrees C. Battery. You can charge your car battery in this car park. Volt. A child miraculously survived a 25,000-volt electric shock. Radiate. 4 avenues radiate from the square. Emit. The tail exhaust pipe of the car emitted poisonous smoke. Transparent. Not all glass is transparent. Hollow. The trunk of this tree looks solid, but in fact it is hollow. Ozone. The ozone layer protects the Earth from most of the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Gravity. Enormous energy is needed to launch a spacecraft against gravity. Friction. In designing this device, it is necessary to reduce friction as much as possible. Eccentric. The old lady has some eccentric habits. Displace. A bone in his knee was displaced when he crashed against another player. Boil. The watched pot never boils. Melt. Iron melts at a great heat. Dissolve. Sugar dissolves in water. Rust. If you leave your metal tools outside in the rain, they will rust. Ferment. The whole country was in a state of ferment. Dilute. The nurse diluted the drug with saline water. Acid. When she spoke, her tone was like acid. Noxious. Increasing tax on petrol would encourage people to drive cars with fewer noxious emissions. Static. This cloth material has static electricity. Inert. Helium and neon are inert gases. Inherent. Polarity is inherent in a magnet. Formula. The formula for water is H2O. Component. Regular exercise is one of the key components of a healthy lifestyle. Compose. Water is composed of hydrogen and oxygen. Mixture. Her new play is a mixture of sadness and humor. Blend. His manner was a blend of friendliness and respect. Theory. There are many theories about the origin of the universe. Empirical. His thesis is not very convincing for lack of empirical evidence. Practical. He is very practical. He can make or mend almost anything. Doctrine. The doctrine is unchangeable. Principle. A bicycle and a motorcycle are built on the same principle. Discipline. It takes years of discipline to become a ballerina. Term. The protocol would have many positive results in the long term. Semester. There are 2 semesters in a year. Timetable. There are 8 English classes listed in this term's timetable. Schedule. The next thing on my schedule is to buy some milk in the supermarket. Deadline. I hope we can finish this before the deadline. Course. She is currently doing a business studies course at Leeds. Lesson. The lesson from your failure is perhaps a broader one. Curriculum. The staff should work together to revise the school curriculum. Seminar. Why didn't you come to yesterday's seminar? Forum. The forum is now open to all small and medium-sized enterprises. Syllabus. The syllabus changes every year. System. The new system is still in the planning stage. Rudimentary. He only has a rudimentary knowledge of the dinosaur. Basic. The government increased prices on several basic commodities like meat and dairy products. Fundamental. Another fundamental consideration in the conception of a design is function. Elementary. Their course of study includes elementary hygiene and medical theories. Profound. His brother's words have had a profound effect on him. Superficial. He is too superficial to appreciate great literature like this. Surface. The surface of the bamboo feels so smooth. Compulsory. Britain did not introduce compulsory primary education until 1880. Prerequisite. Training is a prerequisite for competence. Selective. The man seemed to have a very selective recall of past events. Elective. Besides the required courses, I'm taking an elective in computer science. Assignment. A brave fighter never shrinks from danger when executing an assignment. Submit. I hope you can submit your term papers before the deadline. Preview. Please do the preview and review work. Review. We must hold a careful review of historical events. Revise. The writer was revising what he had written. Inspect. The mayor will inspect our school tomorrow. Consult. In this case, I recommended that you consult your doctor. Skim. It's important for you to skim through this article. Scan. I just had a quick scan through your book again. Scrutinize. The jeweler scrutinized the ruby for flaws. Recite. Each child had to recite a poem in class. Dictate. The English teacher dictates to the class every other week. Examination. Did you have to get through an entrance examination? Test. The scientists have already experimented at test sites. Quiz. The quiz was a good opportunity for him to exhibit his knowledge. Presentation. There is a presentation of our new play tonight. Plagiarize. It is not a viable option to plagiarize someone's work. Copy. This painting is a copy of the one in the museum. Print. Print these words in italics across the top of the page. Thesis. To be specific, the argument in your graduation thesis is logical. Essay. This essay represents a considerable improvement on your recent work. Paper. She is working hard at her term paper in the library. Dissertation. Each student will have a supervisor to advise on the writing of a dissertation. Project. It is an elaborate project that applies to many purposes. Heading. The heading was in large print. Outset. The science fiction fascinates the readers from the outset. Outline. These documents provided a broad outline of the country's development after World War II. Point. That is not the point in question. Gist. He cannot understand the gist of their argument. Opinion. She asked her friends' opinions about her plans. Introduce. Britain did not introduce compulsory primary education until 1880. Reference. This book is for reference only. Cite. I'll just cite some figures for comparison. Elicit. At last, we elicited some important information from him. Quote. The author frequently quoted Shakespeare. Extract. The following extract is taken from his commentary on the movie. Abstract. Abstract. Iron is abstracted from ore. Summary. The professor asked the students to make a summary of the reading material. Assume. We assume his innocence before hearing the evidence against it. Presume. From his words, I presumed that he had been in France for several years. Suppose. Let us suppose another planet with conditions similar to those on the Earth. Hypothesis. This is only a scientific hypothesis which has not been proved by experiments. Postulate. Postulate. The experts had postulated that this disease can be cured in a couple of decades. Speculate. The doctors could only speculate that he died of cancer. Predict. It is virtually impossible to predict the future accurately. Perceive. I perceived that it was not possible to make her change her mind. Detect. The man is responsible for detecting some kind of weak signals. Discern. The child finds it hard to discern between red and green. Recognize. I recognized Peter at once, although I hadn't seen him for many years. Conscious. He was conscious of his guilt. Reckon. We had reckoned on your support. Deem. The board deemed it urgent that these files be printed right away. Imply. The way he talked implied that he was not willing to accept the agreement. Deliberate. Deliberate. She deliberated the question before she made an answer. Represent. A committee has been elected to represent us. Insist. We insist on self-reliance. Persist. On the top of the massive mountains, snow persists throughout the year. Understand. What human beings have understood is just the tip of the iceberg. Comprehend. You can say you have comprehended a word if you can use it correctly and effectively. Analyze. We should analyze the cause and effect of this event. Diagnose. We can use a test to diagnose a variety of diseases. Infer. From your smile, I infer that you liked this drink. Deduce. We can deduce a conclusion from this premise. Conclude. What do you conclude from his explanation? Analogy. The man drew an analogy between the human skin and a brick wall. Compare. Your knowledge cannot yet compare with his. Contrast. There is a great contrast between good and evil. Overlap. The plots and descriptions in these two novels largely overlap. Contradiction. Your attitude is in contradiction to your character. Disagree. I strongly disagree with this amoral approach to science. Differ. The two theories differ from each other in many ways. Diverse. The original meaning of this word has become more diverse over time. Nuance. The investigator watched the suspect's face intently to catch every nuance of expression. Inductive. You need to infer by inductive reasoning. Detail. No detail was too small to escape the detective's attention. Thorough. A thorough brushing helps to protect your teeth and gums. Example. Her diligence has set an example to the others. Instance. Nowadays, we can read many instances of good people and good deeds in the press. Confirm. Her new film confirmed her as one of our leading directors. Demonstrate. He demonstrated how to use the new machine. Illustrate. The book was illustrated with color photographs. Manifest. Her bravery manifests itself in times of difficulties. Prove. He has proved his loyalty in the battle. Determine. He determined to move to another city and start a new life. Decide. Don't decide on important matters too quickly. Resolve. She resolved that she would never eat junk food. Survey. Survey. A recent survey of public opinions shows that many people are worried about the rising house prices. Research. It is a good idea to do some research before you buy a house. Observe. I observed a stranger enter my neighbor's home. Inquire. We must inquire into the matter. Query. I have several queries about the work you gave me. Questionnaire. We have sent out nearly 3,000 questionnaires, but only a third of them were returned. Achieve. In many fields, women have yet to achieve the equal participation in policy-making processes. Accomplish. Though the task was challenging, they managed to accomplish it on time. Attain. Greater efforts are needed before we can attain our goal. Credit. I need 3 more credits to graduate. Score. Now the score in the football game is 1-1. Mark. It is dangerous to swim beyond this mark. Grade. This grade of jade can be bought at a fairly low price. Rank. There are people of all ranks and classes. Row. A row of children are standing in front of a row of chairs. Queue. You should join the queue inside the bank. Grant. I grant that book gives us some insights into human nature, but generally speaking, it is boring. Praise. American reviewers are lavish in their praise of this movie. Appreciate. We appreciate your efforts for the development of the company. Feedback. We'd appreciate it if you gave us some feedback on our new product. Underestimate. Don't underestimate the difficulty of the job. Overestimate. Most customers overestimated the price of the overcoat. Apply. My cousin applied to 4 universities and was accepted by all of them. Fellowship. As a student, he was awarded the fellowship at Harvard. Scholarship. For a few, scholarships were their main source of support. Reward. Virtue is its own reward. Award. The novice writer is especially thrilled with this award. Prize. We prize honor above money. Fee. A higher fee does not necessarily mean a better course.